I'm Agnes Nemeth, living in Finland. I belong to the University of Eastern Finland, to a research institute, Karelian Institute. It's in the very eastern part of mid-Finland, so not very much up in the north, but it's really cold anyway, because we are close to the Russian border, which is especially a nice situation these days. We used to have a lot of cross-border projects at the Institute, but this project I'm going to talk about today is not related to border studies, but I hope it will be of value to most of you, and I can give you some new information. I will talk mostly about my project that I'm managing from Finland. It's called ECoC-SME, pretty straightforward abbreviation. Its long title is Interregional project. Its long title is more complicated, but it's basically about, it's an interregional project for the development of businesses in selected European capitals of culture. And today I will give a short introduction to the Interreg program, very brief, so that you're familiar with the phrases and so on. And after that, the Interreg Europe program and its project logic briefly. And then I would like to give you insights into my project, the ECoC-SME project, and how it works in the 5 regions, participant regions. And some interesting project outputs I will share with you in the end. Hope it will fit my time frame. So firstly, about Interreg, it started at the end of, yes, my background is, I'm sorry, but my background is I'm a geographer and I'm into regional development. So that's why this perspective is on the European Capital of Culture program. So the Interreg, it started in the 80s as a community initiative, and it has been since a multi-annual program funded from a European Regional Development Fund, aiming basically to stimulate cooperation in the European Union, mainly among regions. And currently we are in the 6th Interreg program. Each program normally lasts for 7 years. Approximately, and this one, the current one is started officially in 2021 and lasts until 2027. So as I already mentioned, it's designed to strengthen economic, social, and territorial cohesion throughout the EU. And it has so-called 3 strands, the program. One is a cross-border strand, which is between neighboring regions in 2 or more different countries. They share a border, and the purpose is to develop cross-border economic, social, and environmental activities through joint strategies. The B strand, the second strand, this cross-border strand gets the most of the funding actually in the program. The transnational strand gets the second most funding in the program. And it's about regions from several different countries cooperate because they have they experience joint or comparable problems. But I have to tell you that these regions are not covering whole countries, but certain regions from certain countries which are neighboring usually. Can you see this? Yeah, probably yes. This is just giving you an idea about how many parallel transnational Interreg programs are running. So you can see, you can find your own region, but you can also see that there are regions delineated such as Northern Periphery and Arctic or Baltic Sea region, where, for example, Finland belongs to. And then last, but most importantly for my purposes, is the interregional cooperation of the Interreg program that works at the pan-European level, involving national, regional, and local actors and their networks to develop good practice and facilitate the exchange of and transfer of experience. And there is a fourth strand upcoming. We don't know about the financing yet. The strand D, let's call it, which is about the outermost regions with the least of the funding from the Interreg program. Interreg projects require co-funding, and the final beneficiaries are public authorities like municipalities, regional councils, and non-profit organizations and interest associations, for-profit, so companies or for-profit organizations can only participate as key stakeholders and or as subcontractors for certain tasks. So the Interreg Europe program. Still, so as I already explained you, it has quite much funding with 3-4 strands. It's currently the funding for the 7 years is a little bit over 8,000 million euros. And it facilitates regions to develop place-based responses by the simply encouragement of exchange of experience between the regions. So it's it's a really interesting learning development project. And the Interreg Europe program is aiming at places, regions, cities located far away from each other, but they are getting together around a certain thematic objective of the call. And so it covers whole Europe, 29 countries, because Norway and Switzerland can participate with a different of co-funding rates from EU countries. And there used to be 4 topics for focused actions in the previous calls. And the new program is built around 6 topics. You can see, but actually the main purpose is to contribute to all current EU priorities. So very much in tune with the current EU priorities. It's covering basically everything. And its basic aim is better regional local governance through a simple inclusion, capacity building, and knowledge exchange. The logic of an Interreg Europe project is relatively simple but very interesting. So there are certain regions across Europe that come together with a similar kind of a problem or context that they can share and define themselves. And they want to make their situation better, improve. So during the years of the project duration, there is a really intense exchange of experience from these regions. They consult about the problem, the issues, their partial existing solutions, maybe from their regions, maybe from their countries, from elsewhere. And they put these together and they all constantly think and develop newer and newer good practices, ideas. That goes on for 2-3 years, depending on the length of the project. And then they create, by the end of this so-called phase 1, the end of the knowledge exchange, they create this is called action plan. It's a jargon of the Interreg Europe program. But anyway, it's like a development plan. So they have to put down concretely their problem situation, context, existing tools, and what they want to achieve, new tools to make the situation better. And they have to put it down, and they have to approve that there will be funding secured for in the future to implement and to keep these structures, new structures or new tools for the future to make the situation better in their own region. So it's a kind of a commitment as well either from the regional council or from the city who is participating. And then what is interesting with Europe in the Interreg Europe program, that at the last phase of the project itself is an implementation. So they right away have to implement, realize those plans, what they put down, and they can see the results kind of in a year, and they can even monitor the results, and they can adjust throughout this. It's a test year for these new tools to be introduced. So it can be called a pretty fast and efficient project that can make an impact at the same time in 3-4 years, basically from the very start. So now a little bit about our project, the ECoC-SME, which is in long, the actions for inducing SME growth and innovation via the ECoC event and legacy. We hardly use this long name of our project for an understandable reason. And so our project was formed to find answers and possible solutions on how small and medium-sized enterprises could be engaged in and strengthened through the European Capital of Culture projects in 5 locations. And since the summer of 2019, that's when we started, 5 regions that in recent and forthcoming years host the European Capital of Culture have come together for learning from each other. That was the beginning. And the aim was to improve their existing policies. Some of them had regional strategies or municipal strategies. One of them went for a regional operative program and the aim was to the promotion of existing local small and medium-sized enterprises and also new entrepreneurship, mainly by way of increasing cross-sectoral cooperation. So unusual, unconventional cross-sectoral cooperation was also kind of an aim for us, including linking local entrepreneurship to the European Capital of Culture and its positive long-term legacy. Where we were particularly motivated, I have to tell you, from the very beginning of our project, because this objective has not ever been explicitly part of the European Capital of Program and its evaluation criteria. So everybody thought it's really important to vitalize a region and gain legacy and have impact, but then candidates do not get even any specific guidance in this regard, like how to really achieve in this term real improvement. So our participant regions, when we came together, Leeuwarden from Friesland used to be a capital of culture in 2018 in the Netherlands. Matera from the Basilicata region, 2019 European Capital of Culture. Rijeka from Croatia, European Capital of Culture in the unlucky year of 2020. And then Timișoara from the west region of Romania, originally Capital of Culture in 2021, but then because of the reasons we all know, it was postponed to 2023, hopefully for a luckier year. And finally Kaunas from Lithuania, which is a European Capital of Culture just now. The partnership contains cultural and business development departments of municipalities, incubators, as well as an entrepreneurship training center. So pretty varied partnership, I would rather say. Oh, this is a difficult diagram, I know, but I really wanted to show you how we worked, and it's probably easier to read from boxes and arrows. So how we work together for 3 years. You have to read from the top to the bottom, this chart. And we started to identify certain areas, problem areas, where partner regions could define their local gaps and needs for policy improvement, and also where they would share their own achievements, experiments and experience with each other. Then a series of local workshops were launched. We call it Local Learning Lab, you can see in green. And in parallel, international study visits and meetings were organized in the partnership, that's in orange. And the two vital elements to the success of this policy development project was the two-way interaction between these local and interregional learning activities. And also, you can read that the very active engagement of the policy responsible public authorities from the very start of the project in the 5 regions and cities. So it was a real strong awareness raising from the very beginning. And then we created these summary reports on the results and collected good practices. And then each of the regions had to write these action plans or development plans. And then they implemented. Actually, it's just going on now this year. The implementation we will close in July. So they are already testing these solutions in their own regions, all the partners. And also we are it was not compulsory, but we hoped for create kind of recommendations to the ECoC program as a final output. During our project years, we always try to include other European capitals of cultures in our events and the communication, and also from European level, like panelists from ECoC evaluation process, or certain DGs at the European level. For example, most recently we invited from the new Bauhaus movement GRC press presenter, and he participated our event, and we really had a good discussion with Javier Trousseau. My pronunciation is not perfect. But we are trying to reach that level as well to have an impact on the program. Strengthening, so the project outputs, yes, the project outputs. I cannot give a detailed introduction to all because of the lack of time, but I highly recommend, if you're interested, to visit the project website. You can find nice summaries. So what kind of outputs? One kind of output is the strengthening of cultural and creative sector linked to the European Capital of Culture. And I brought examples from Leeuwarden, the Netherlands, and the Rijeka. First about Leeuwarden. One is the so as I told you, the European Capital of Culture in 2018 in Leeuwarden, it's been for a while now, and it revealed, so they have experienced that it revealed that there are great potentials for the CCI sector for the region, but there is no regional support system for the cultural and creative businesses themselves. And the implementation of their actions, therefore, is linked to the European Capital of Culture Legacy Program, which is called Leeuwarden Friesland 2028. The one is a really interesting series of launch game for CCI, Cultural and Creative Industries, is being introduced in Leeuwarden now, it's a kind of a game, a dynamic changing game where teams can experience what it's like to start their own businesses. And it's kind of in a couple of hours, using short sessions with various kind of advisors, they can experience the startup of a CC company. The other action in Leeuwarden is about connecting cultural and creative industry to the already existing Friesland project machine. The main aim is to bring opportunity structures closer to the actors in the CCI sector, because there are possible resources, but they never took advantage on it, even not during the cultural capital years. These are kind of the most direct is the EU funding, of using the EU funding opportunities. So they've developed a practical guide, step-by-step manual that helps the individuals working in the CCI sector to successfully apply for funding, existing funding at one of the European Union's programs. So it's pretty simple, but still it was missing there, and they discovered this gap, and they could make an impact. Hopefully it will have a long-term impact on the CCI sector and business development in this field. The other example, kind of similar, is the Croatian example from the city of Rijeka, that implements a series of interrelated actions, but here I have time to mention shortly one. This is the Creative Doctors Initiative. We really like the name because the COVID just broke out and we like the logo and everything. This is a support mechanism which solves problems, and at the same time it also serves as a collaborative platform and a base for creating intrasectoral and cross-sectoral cooperation. And this basically, it connects those who are in challenge, in problem, dilemma with their existing business development. And there is an existing network of experts and peers in the Rijeka Startup Incubator who can help them. Well, it would have happened physically, but then actually it became a kind of online tool in the end. It's a two-way communication between these two groups or give possible solutions. So there are doctors from the Startup Incubator mentors, or even already successful entrepreneurs. And there are patients who are already, Startup Incubator users and ex-users, and also wannabe entrepreneurs. And here are some examples. They've had to find out a platform, and they found Facebook in Croatia that as a most suitable platform. There were patients who posted their problems, really straightforward questions they wanted to get solutions to, and from the incubator. Business incubator, they got comments, and it all went public, so it was kind of helpful for the others. They had difficulties in the beginning to start because there were no patients somehow coming, but then it started like all of a sudden after the start of this year, and they have a very, very many different patients, like from handicraft, small businesses, to, for example, software development, with the two girls in the bottom are developing the software, and they are getting recommendation solutions from the experts. The other example is from Timișoara, from West Romania, capital of culture in 2023. It is a different situation. They had to start with awareness raising from scratch to show the gains and benefits of cross-sectoral discussion and partnerships. And the Cultural to Business Hackathon event was organized for a long weekend there to help the prospective entrepreneurs in developing their cultural businesses, and also for existing small and medium-sized enterprises to develop new products related, especially for the European Capital of Culture year and project and legacy. The other similar event is called the Creative Talks and Matchmaking Fair, very similar, with a little bit of a difference that they wanted to raise awareness and engage and interact with not only with business stakeholders and professionals, but the local public. So it's really like capacity building and awareness raising. The third action is their real long-lasting product that will change the environment, the business environment, and especially focusing on the cultural sector in Timișoara, hopefully. It's a long-lasting product which uses inputs from these previous events and invite those participants to use it. It's going to be a platform. It's called Oxygen for Creatives. And it will be set up towards the event year, the ECoC event year. So it's a forthcoming project, but they needed the public for this to be prospective users of this platform. And last but not least, I brought again a different kind of approach from Kaunas, where we had a university as a partner, actually a business development department of a university or from Kaunas, who worked together with the city. And the project outputs are a little bit different. They implement innovative learning methods and training program to mobilize youth and education for entrepreneurship, really strongly connected to the Kaunas 2021 ECoC event. So the intention, there is a very strong intention to promote startups in the frame of the European Capital of Culture projects in Kaunas. And for example, this Kaunistic startup action of theirs is a 7-week training program for potential startuppers from all higher education institutions in Kaunas city. And they really wanted to select participants, mostly from the CCI sector, who are trying to be active in the implementation of the Kaunas 2022 ECoC. So you can see very different approaches. They look simple, but at the same time, it's amazing how much these regions were missing these kind of solutions and this way of thinking. So no matter where they were in their European Capital of Culture projects, already finished years ago and they are working on the legacy, or they are just facing the event, they all had a lot of problems and missing things in their own regions that they had to realize and work to develop. And they learned a lot from each other and also from their own local learning labs. What they put together for the purpose of this project, they benefited a lot. They learned a lot. They made people to sit down with each other and consult who would have never been in the same room before and ever. Because they just didn't find it important at all. It was not a given thing for them. And I don't want to talk more. It was already a bit long. So thank you for your attention. And please, if you are interested, visit our project website. Actually, if you just Google ECoC-SME, that will be the first find in the list. So visit it because it looks good. It's not because we were working on it for 3 years, but there's a lot of bits and pieces of information and pretty interesting examples. It's something much easier to digest than my presentation, probably for most of you. So thank you for your attention. And